complex, much too complex, too complex, much too complex, too complex, too complex, too complex.
I remember a scenario, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I got this girl real drunk, and
that sentence sounds a little fishy. I got her drunk.
I didn't just get her drunk. I remember going. I went to the sex store and got Spanish Fly.
Oh, so you raped her?
Shut up. Spanish Fly. They sell it in the sex store. I'm telling the truth. They spell it in the Spanish store. I had to fucking.
They sell knives at the store too. You could put that to a girl's throat and have sex with it. That doesn't mean it's illegal.
So I put the Spanish Fly in the E&J. We drinking the E&J and shit. So in my mind, I don't know if this shit really worked, but I felt like I got horny as a motherfucker too. Right? So she was drunk as shit, and we had sex and shit, and like. A lot of my boys was trying to come in the room and fuck her. I'm like, nah, chill out. I can't. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna let you run a train on it. That's rape. Yeah. Okay. So, right. So
if it's just one-on-one, it ain't rape.
Yeah. So the next
trains are rape.
So the next morning she wakes up. And we talk about it. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, oh, we had sex. She said, okay, well, I'm glad it was you. Then a couple days later, she's like, yo, are you sure I only had sex with you? Because one of my stupid ass cousins was going around saying he fucked her, which he didn't. I know for a fact he didn't. Okay. I was there the whole time. Yeah. He did not fuck her. Yeah. He looked at her naked, but he didn't fuck her, right? So I'm telling her, no, me and you just had sex. Nobody else did nothing. So it just was weird that she was like, well, I'm just glad it was you. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, I'm like, yo, you could have been in a real bad situation if it was another motherfucker there.
That's a huge compliment, man. A girl just said, yo, at least you raped me.
I didn't rape her. I did not rape her.
Hey, if it was any of your cousins or friends, it would have been rape. But
I didn't rape her because me and her had every intention of having sex with each other.
So then why would you put the Spanish Fly?
I'm still a freaky motherfucker, but I was
was she passed out while you fucked her?
Nah, she wasn't like, she was like one of those drunks where, she was one of those drunks where like,
what are you doing
she was one of those drunks where she was like, she wasn't coherent, but she was up. You know when your girls is like when you're blacked out, like that, don't know what the fuck's going on type shit. Like she was really
She was awake and she was into it.
She was wasted.
Good afternoon. My name is James K. Holder II. Some of you may know me as Sir James II. I'd like to welcome you back to Not On My Watch. As always, I'd like to ask you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want you to retweet this and repeat this video. If you're watching, today is Thursday, July 12th, 2018. And the audio that you just listened to is that of a leaked interview that appeared online this morning, and it is from September of 2015. You may recognize the voice of the interviewee as LeNard McKelvey, aka Charlemagne The God, from the popular radio show The Breakfast Club. And this is from an interview hosted by Andrew Schultz. I'm not particularly familiar with this person, where they were discussing rape culture. Now, you can hear from the disturbing audio in the video that it is a man describing an incident with a minor who was 15 years old, who he willingly contributed to her inebriated state. He provided this underage girl with alcohol, specifically E&J's cognac, that he mixed with Spanish Fly to get her in the mood, I suppose. This video, this occurrence happened when Charlemagne was about either 22 or 23, but he was of the legal age to buy alcohol. This girl was 15 years old. Now, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the allegations and what's surfacing here. These are all, again, allegations. They're corroborated by a lot of different things that are going on. And there's a small amount of outrage about this story. People are calling it a Me Too thing. people are saying that this is only because Charlamagne was offered a show on HBO recently and that somebody's trying to come out of the woodwork to tear him down. I don't know anything about all that stuff. I don't know anything. He has a book coming out that talks about being a black man with anxiety. I have anxiety too. I talk about it here on the show. I've talked about it on social media. I don't know anything about this allegation having to do with that or these other things. What I do know is that there's documented court records and police statements that implicate Charlamagne in some inappropriate action with this girl from 2001, again, when she was 15, and himself, who was an adult at the time. And there's some inconsistencies. So this program, it might be a little bit of a challenge. I've never really done a program that was about this topic in this way before, but it's just so disturbing. I can't say that it's disappointing because I didn't know about all this stuff before today. I am not a huge fan of Charlemagne's. I think that he does some good interviews. I think they have some good programming on that show, but ultimately I'm not a big fan of Charlamagne at all. But this is not rooted in anything that I'm going to cover today. So I'm going to get back to the facts. Now, again, I decided to download that audio and replay it back here on this video because I don't know how long that's going to be up. I don't have a video of that interview happening to know that that's his voice, certainly, but I do recognize his voice in that interview, and it's no coincidence that some of the things that he described in that video from 2015 sound identical to what this young lady reported on in an interview that happened this week. So on July 9th, she interviewed on the Star Report. This is a young man who has a radio show. I'll link all of this stuff and put all the sources in the bottom. But I want to kind of talk about a little bit what was going on. So 15-year-old at the time, Jessica Reid, that's the victim. Basically, she came out and did this interview on, I guess it was Sunday. It was the 9th. Well, I guess it was Monday of this week. And she described, or at least that's when it was published to YouTube. She described in this interview an incident where at the age of 15, a friend of hers named Rico took her to the radio station where Charlamagne worked, introduced them. She had no idea who this was before then. She says later on, Charlamagne contacted her. She said she didn't give him his phone number. She said he knew that she was 15. She knew she went to high school. She told her all that stuff when they met. This man, Charlamagne came by her house. This is all allegedly. This is according to her. Charlamagne came by her house, had met her mom, had met her brother. A few other times later, he invites her to a pool party. Charlamagne, in one interview, describes this party as a graduation party for his cousin. She described it as he picked her up and her friend, went to his house. She met his family, and they were supposed to be on their way to this pool party that he was throwing. Now, she says that by the time they got to the pool party, they done stopped at the gas station, they done stopped at his family's house, they done all this stuff. She says by the time they get to the party, it's so late and it's nothing but a bunch of people in the house, and it was her and her friends. He fixes her a drink, and her friend a drink. She says that her friend started drinking before she did. I'm assuming her friend was about the same age. She says that she was drinking as well, but at a slower pace. By the time her friend finished drinking first, and then her friend threw up, that was around the time that she was finishing her first drink. She said she grabbed some towels to try to clean her friend off. Then she says that while she was trying to clean her off, Charlamagne kept trying to fix them more drinks and hand them more drinks. Now, there's conflicting reports in the interviews. In one interview, the one that I played at the beginning of this program, Charlemagne clearly discusses having E&Js spiked with Spanish fly. I've never had Spanish fly. I don't know what that is or what that does or how it makes you feel. I don't know about it making you throw up or anything. But that's what he describes them both drinking, as though they were both drinking it together and having a fun time. Now, she says that she went to continue trying to help her friend. At some point, she stands up, I guess to go back to the bathroom or go get more towels or something, and she collapses to the floor. She says she remembers being able to see and hear and understand, but her legs didn't work. She said she never felt that way before. Now, later, I guess she blacked out. She gets up. She knew something had happened. Her and her friend make it downstairs. They're sitting outside in the dark. Everybody is gone from the party or the room or whatever. And she says that somebody that she didn't know or didn't think she knew, she doesn't know whether they were at the party before or not, comes up to her and asks if they're okay. And that's when that person called the ambulance or called 911. Police reports were filed. She went to the hospital. The ambulance was called. They did a rape kit on them. It was proven that an assault had happened. You name it. Now, in the original tape that I played at the beginning, this is from the rape culture interview with Andrew Schultz. Charlemagne basically jokes about the incident from 2001. And he's describing what's very clearly understood as a rape, where you're drugging somebody with one, alcohol, and then also an additional substance, and then using that to create an environment where you're going to have sex with them. So the interviewer continually confronts Charlemagne, kind of in a joking way, but is confronting this person about how he raped this girl. And Charlemagne keeps saying, oh, no, I didn't rape her because basically she was going to have sex with me anyway. Like, we had already decided that we were going to have sex at some point. Now, this is not what this young lady has, who I guess she would be about 20, well, wait. This happened in 2001. So she would be about 33 now. Or so. And she's now basically moved on. She's got her own career. She's got all this other stuff. But she describes how he basically drugged her and drugged her friend. And that, there were all these other people around. She doesn't know who did what. Charlemagne describes in the interview about how he admits to having sex with her, drinking with her, having spiked her drink, how the drink that he had made him feel very horny and ready, and all this stuff. He describes her waking up, him being there. He repeatedly says that he never left. He repeatedly says that he was there and witnessed and knows that nobody else was in the room with them. He repeatedly says that nobody else raped her, that his cousins and friends were trying to get in on the action, which means run a train on her, and he stopped that from happening, even though he admits to having sex with her. Now, he says that she wakes up and asks what happened. He tells her, we had sex. Then she says, okay, well, I'm glad it was with you, whatever that means. Now, this is according to him. She didn't say that about that part of the interaction. He says that she later contacted him and asked if anybody else had had sex with her or raped her, basically, while he was there. He denied that happened. In the interview with Akademiks, now this is from a 2013 interview. The 2013 interview with DJ Akademiks, that's also available online, I'm going to link that. Charlemagne admits the whole story is very different. He says there was a party, he wasn't there. He says he left, he came back, he heard rumors about his cousin raping somebody and that his cousin was arrested, and he goes there to clear his cousin's name, and he says he takes responsibility for everything that happened. A whole lot of nonsense. And it ultimately ends up that Charlemagne is booked and charged. They take DNA samples from Charlemagne. Charlemagne says that the courts proved that there was no sort of corroborating DNA evidence, meaning there was the DNA from the rape kit of this young lady, Reid, Jessica Reid, didn't match his DNA sample, and therefore that means he's innocent. So as a result of that, Charlamagne pleads guilty to a lesser charge, not rape, I guess not aggravated assault. I don't know exactly what the charge is, but he doesn't go to jail. He ends up getting like probation for under a year. And this is all while he's still, I mean, he was young at the time, so he was like 22, 23, but he was still on the radio. He still has some level of cachet. And certainly he wasn't on the level of sort of stardom and fame that he is now, where he's on television. He has the show, the radio show that's very popular in New York, is nationally syndicated. It comes on Revolt Network. He has, you know, sponsorship and all kind of stuff. It's an iHeart radio show. He has several book deals. He's a published author, a New York Times bestseller. He has another book coming out. He has this deal on the table to do a show with I think HBO. So, I mean, he's come a long way, but her thing is, she, at the time, her mom was involved. Her mom knew Charlamagne. She had met him. He had been to the house. So she's saying that when it came down to for her to speak her part of the truth, her part of the story, her mom didn't want her involved. So much so that her mom even moved them from South Carolina, or I guess it was one of the Carolinas. I tend to mix those up. Her mom moved them both from there to Virginia to get away from the whole case. So her mom basically forced her to not confront the situation, but she's still dealing with it now. She's been on medication for dealing with it. She's seen psychiatrists. She's been dealing with depression and all kinds of other situations that come up from having these unresolved issues. And of course, everyone on Instagram and all these other platforms is coming to the defense of Charlamagne because they figure, okay, well, why did you wait 21 years to bring this, or why did you wait from 2001 to bring this up? That was 17 years ago. Why were you at this party? Why were you drinking? You got all these questions for the victim, but really, Charlamagne facilitated all this stuff. So, allegedly. So, it really is a disturbing story. There is a petition going around that is demanding that Charlamagne be fired from his popular radio show. I have not seen any statements from Angela Yee or any of his other co-workers or the radio station itself. Charlamagne, his lawyer, spoke out to TMZ. Now, he has one of these big shot lawyers working on a case that's speaking for him. I guess they recorded an episode of The Breakfast Club earlier today because they posted the video to YouTube. I don't watch that show live. I don't listen to it when it comes on here, but I assume he was at work today. This stuff started surfacing this week. So I came about this particular video and the information around it because of a post that Safari posted. Now, Safari, for those of you who don't know, she was one of the contestants on Flavor of Love and then later Charm School with Monique. So I follow her on social media, and she posted this link from this other guy on social media who is, I guess, one of the producers of Real Housewives of Atlanta, the last season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. So he works sort of pop culture and all this, the same genre that Charlamagne works in. He claims that he does have a personal beef with Charlamagne, but in his bio, in his link on his bio, he linked directly to this video. Now, again, like I said, that video that you saw, the audio from that video that you saw at the beginning of this video was only up since today. I don't know how much longer it's going to be up. That's why I right-clicked. That's why I downloaded it so that I have my own copy of it, because I just can't see it being up that long. I don't know where that came from originally. That was my first time hearing about that, and I saw that. I heard that clip where he admitted to raping and drugging her on this radio program in September of 2015. Now, this coincides with other viewpoints, and you'll probably see this in a cover art for this episode, that Charlamagne also posted a sort of a joke on January 11th, 2015. And I just want to read it to make sure I'm not misquoting anybody. But this was posted to his Twitter account on January 11th, 2015. It says, "Remember, my brothers, if she's drunk tonight, no doesn't mean no, it means maybe." So this is absolutely a problem of rape culture. This is a problem of drugging people. This is a problem of not getting consent, even if it's revoking consent. You have a situation where a young 15-year-old black girl was raped and manipulated by a popular, now very famous gentleman, well, not gentleman, but a very famous, radio personality and television host. And what's going to happen here? They want to open up the case back up. She wants some better resolution than what happened. And I don't know what's going to result out of this. I don't know if this is the only person this has happened to. Certainly, this is the only person who this has come up against. I mean, Charlemagne, in the interview that was from 2013 with DJ Akademiks, he talked about how he learned his lesson because of the rape charge that he got in 2001. And now, when he was explaining this to DJ Akademiks, he was much more loose and fast with the numbers and the dates. It was around 2000, 2001 to 99. Oh, I might have been about 20 or 20. I don't know if I was quite 21 yet. All the numbers were fidgeting in this 2013 interview where they were very clear. He knew exactly what he drank. He knew what he spiked it with. He knew what the party was for on this 2015 interview. So it's all really quite fast and loose, and really her account much more accurately aligns with this interview that was posted today online. And her interview, again, to my knowledge, was posted 4 days prior to the interview that I showed at the beginning of this that was posted today. So maybe she heard that clip from somewhere before it was posted on this YouTube source and copied it, but as far as what I'm seeing in the dates, her story came out before that leaked interview was posted anywhere online that I've seen. So that's why I definitely right-clicked it. They might take this video down at some point. Who knows? But that's really, to me, that says a lot. Just looking at the paper trail on the story, because anybody can fish out an interview where he admitted something and say they did it, but for her to have said and done her interview with this guy 5 days before or 4 days before that interview shows up anywhere online, that to me says a lot. So I think there's a smoking gun there, surely, and there's already court documents and evidence. Charlemagne was booked, he was fingerprinted, he was done, all that stuff was there. There was a trial. He settled, so there was no civil proceeding. Her mom never let her pursue it further at the time, and now she just basically wants closure. So we're going to see where this goes. It has not been a story that's gotten a lot of news. Billboard did a story on it. TMZ mentioned it only in the form of a denial from Charlemagne's lawyer. And then all these other interviews, sort of clips and stuff are popping up where you hear it. But it's exactly like the Bill Cosby thing. And I'm not saying that Charlemagne did anything to the level of Bill Cosby. Certainly Bill Cosby has been convicted of several instances of this very same thing. But all this stuff lines up, right? All of it sounds the same. It's the same familiar language, the same familiar tone, the same entitlement. That, oh, well, she was going to have sex with me anyway because he was a radio personality and she was 15. And yeah, well, she came to this party with me and she was drinking with me. It's just all this, it's so many similarities in the stories. It really is quite, it's quite remarkable that anyone's denying it. And like I said, I haven't heard anything from Charlemagne directly, but I imagine that we will within the coming days and weeks, or maybe we won't, because this might get swept under the rug like so many other stories. But I will be keeping you all posted. This really, really disturbed me. And it's what's ironic about it is that I really only saw this story because I was on Instagram. Now, this morning, I got up kind of late because I was up editing an episode that's going to show up online later, and an episode of the cooking show. And I got up, I guess it must have been around like 1 p.m. or 2 or something. And this week, Instagram unloaded all these new features on their live stories portion. So you can ask questions on stories. So everybody's going back to this whole honesty box time. Ask me a question, I'll answer it on my stories, whatever. Of course, I'm all into stuff like that. I just think it's kind of fun. So I participated. I posted a couple questions. You know, nothing crazy. A lot of people put comments or compliments or just said stuff, and we just, you know, just had a good little time. Nothing crazy. I wake up this morning to to a question from this guy that I went to college with. Now, and I loosely even say we went to college together because we weren't colleagues at all. Like, we weren't friends. We literally weren't friends. And that's the best way I can describe it. He was a friend of an associate. And I loosely say friend of my associate, because they used to talk shit about him all the time. So this is what the message said. And he's recalling an incident from 2003. Now, this says, do you remember that drunken night in college at the Nesby conference where I had to be a gentleman and not a freak? Now, I read that and I got so pissed off. Like, I'm just mad now. And I'm angry when I'm reading it. And I really can't figure out where he's coming from with this message, because I'm like, okay, one, there was no drunken night with you. Like, we literally were at this conference, and I hate to be putting out like names and organizations and stuff. So I did mention Nesby because that was you can see that online because I posted and I responded to the story. So this was a conference that happened in November of 2003. I was a freshman in college, and I was on a team with several other freshmen and also some other upperclassmen representing Georgia Tech. Now, we, as an organization, were on this bus. We went to Louisville, Kentucky. Again, this was the middle of, it was probably November 17th, because I remember I had to miss my aunt's birthday party to go to this conference. And her birthday's November 17th, if I'm not mistaken. It's like November 14th or November 15th. It was that weekend. So anyway, we get up there, and of course, we was all turning up because we were freshmen in college and we was wild. So a friend our colleague who was on our team and who was in leadership in the organization had a friend who was going to the liquor store. This friend is somebody who I had met before, as I remember it, one time doing a community service project with a completely separate student organization. This was one Sunday where we all show up at the Campanile on campus and everybody's cool, and we carpool over to like the Boys and Girls Club or somewhere in the community, or English Avenue, right around the corner. A different friend of mine and I rode in a car with this guy, and we get there, no incident. We get back, nothing. Never heard from this person again until we got to Louisville, and it must have been like weeks later, or maybe like a couple months later. This person goes to the liquor store for us. I didn't hand this person no money. I didn't ask this person to take no order. It was our associate who gave all the orders and did all the stuff with the friend. That person comes back with our stuff. It must have been, I probably ordered Hypnotic. One of my other friends ordered like some apple flavored something. I want to say it was 99 apples. Another friend ordered some Malibu rum, and then another friend ordered some orange flavored Absolute. The four of us, it was 2 girls, 2 guys. And like I keep saying, we were all freshmen. I was the only one who, I think, as I remember it, I was the only one who was 18 at the time. Everybody else was 17 or younger. So we was all in the room. It was room 1306. Now, I don't remember what hotel it was, but this is where we were. And I remember getting drunk. I remember going down to the bottom of the conference floor, dancing. I remember that we got confronted by some of the other people in the organization because they were saying, y'all are obviously drunk, underage, y'all need to go back upstairs and chill because y'all doing too much. We go back upstairs. That's what I remember. I remember my friends being in my room. I don't remember this person being in my room. I don't remember this person being on the dance floor. I don't remember having a conversation with this person. I don't remember nothing. So I don't remember what drunken night this person is talking about I had with him when he basically was just a third party running our errands. And the fact that he will write me today to describe a situation where he made a choice to be a gentleman and not a freak and basically rape me is what he's saying, or assault me. And I'm thinking, what kind of gall do you have? Like, what are you thinking would have happened when it was me and my 3 friends hanging out. What do you think would have happened when we were down on the dance floor? I don't ever remember being in a space where I was incoherent. I remember conversations that happened that night. I remember who confronted us when we were on the dance floor. Like I said, I remember what I had on. I remember what I changed into. I remember everything that everybody ordered. I remember everything that we drank. I don't remember this person being in my room. I don't remember seeing this person. I remember them being on the phone. This person didn't have my phone number. For you to write me 15 years later and talk about the choice that you made to not be a freak with me, that shit pissed me off. But that's the same type of rape culture that we're talking about with this, which is where you feel like because we go to the same school or because we're in the same association or we have mutual friends that we're friends or that we have some kind of camaraderie or relationship or something. And I can't, for the life of me, I just don't understand it. This person was at least 5 years older than us. This person was not, you talk about like insignificant people. We weren't cool, we weren't friends, we weren't cool. Like, it's just weird to me that this person sent this message. So I blocked the person, and I really wish I didn't block them because when I blocked them, the message that he sent went away. So if I unblock them, they won't come back. So I have it, it's on the live story. I screen capped that. You can only see a portion of what he wrote. It stops it when he started to say gentleman. You see GE at the end. But I read it once and then responded to it and I blocked him. So I didn't think, okay, I'm gonna go back, I'm not gonna be able to find the whole statement again. But that pissed me off. And these men out here preying on these teenagers, I don't care if you 18, 14, 15, and you getting people drunk and you putting stuff in people's drinks and you're re-remembering stories in a completely different way than they are, and you thinking they were friends with you and they were cool with you and they didn't even know you. Just like she said, just like Erica said, not Erica, Jessica Reid said, she said, I don't even know how he got my number. This person ain't have my number. We weren't friends. And I keep having to harp on that because this association and this entitlement, all of that is inclusive in the rape culture that we're talking about, to where 20 years from now or 15 years later, Charlamagne can remember this whole story in a completely different scenario where y'all was friends and y'all had all this stuff going on. And these victims ain't lying. These victims remember key details. They remember where the pool was. They remember why we were all inside. They remember it was dark. They remember everything that happened up until the point where they got drugged. And thankfully, nothing happened to me or any of my friends as far as I know. We were all together. We were all looking out for each other. And I never thought about it at the time that this was somebody who I had to be on the lookout for. I mean, of course, his friends was always talking shit about him and making rumors about him and saying he was gay and he was doing all this stuff. And I was just like, you know what? He ain't ever been disrespectful to me. He's never crossed the line with me. So I'm cool with this person. As far as I knew, the only time I had seen him before, like I said, me and my other friend who wasn't there at this conference this particular time, we were both freshmen, got in this person's car. We carpooled to the neighborhood thing to do community service and came back. Nothing happened, wasn't no inappropriate conversation. He ain't hit on me, nothing. It wasn't nothing like that. It could have been further from that. But this is just somebody I didn't think about. So it's just nuts to think that years later, this older person who was bringing us alcohol could have spiked something, could have done whatever he wanted to do, or felt like he could have, or felt like he had access to our room, or felt like he had all this other stuff, and would just write me about it out the blue, like on the same day, and it would just show up in my timeline like that. Like, it really rocked my consciousness, because I'm like, I've been in situations before. I'm not gonna talk about that now, but I had my first job when I was 16, and I had multiple situations at work where, again, these old guys would always be trying something, or saying something, or touching, or whatever, and I'm the type of person who's just, I'll grab your hand, take it off of me, and move it one time. I'm not gonna get violent, but that ain't the first time somebody's crossed the line with me or been in an uncomfortable situation. But that one, I just couldn't believe this person was so bold to take Instagram as his forum to, I guess, I don't know whether that was a come online or a compliment, that he controlled himself enough to not drug me or whatever. Quite absurd. So I'm going to change the subject now. There's a lot going on in the news, and I don't want to really talk about anything else right now because I'm pissed off, but I'm going to post. I'll discuss those things tomorrow on the Weekend 10. You can watch at holderstudio.com. As always, I'd like to thank our friends of the show for supporting and watching. If you'd like to become a friend of the show, you can donate via www.paypal.me/JKH2. The friend of the show we're thanking today is Elizabeth W. I also just want to thank Elizabeth C. and also Barry G. for always being very supportive. That's it. I mean, this story really is absurd. The Charlemagne thing and just the entitlement of these young 22-something-year-old guys who got a car, got a little bit of fame, or got a little bit of popularity or a little bit of status over you, and they go buy these drugs and drinks and stuff for you and then feel like, oh, well, we was going to have sex anyway because we had this connection. This person who wrote me today, I'm just like, I feel so disgusted by it. Because I'm just like, there's no sane person who had the limited interaction I had with this person would think that I would be interested in them in a way that your option was be a gentleman or be a freak. Like, there was no freak situation. There was no drinking. There was no, we weren't drinking together. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember this person from this day. I could name everybody who I encountered during this trip. I promise you, this person was not there. So I don't know what the lurking is about, or the 15 years later, oh yeah, this is what we could have been. The fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, and really, that's another warning that y'all really shouldn't be out here letting Instagram get y'all caught up while y'all trying to shoot your shot in somebody's DMs after midnight or whatever. Y'all might be admitting to some shit that y'all, or a trail of things that you've done that you really don't want out there. So I'm not gonna say anybody's names. Don't email me and ask me who it was, but it was totally inappropriate. The thought was inappropriate. The reaching out and saying so in the public forum was inappropriate. And as a result, I blocked this person and blocked them on all social media platforms. They don't have my number, so if they get my number, it's because they stalking me somewhere. So whatever. But that's all I'm gonna say. That's going to be the end of that. That's the last time I'm going to talk about that particular piece. The Charlemagne story, we'll see. Charlemagne the fraud, LeNard. This don't look good for you because you have too much cachet and too much of a platform and too much going on to be burying these stories and then lying about it. You're on the record having completely conflicting stories about the same account, and what she says corroborates exactly what you said in the 2015 interview that was just so damning. So I'm gonna post a link to her interview. I'm gonna post a link to all of this stuff so y'all can see for yourselves. But I don't know how long any of this stuff is gonna be up. But I'll just leave it at that. As always, I'd like to ask you to relax. Sorry, I'm messing up the line. Relax, relate, and resist. Thank you.
Too complex, much too complex, too complex, much too complex, too complex, too complex, too complex.